everybody, and welcome to episode 39 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who are the orphans with me tonight?
Stefan JD.
Stuart Hughes.
I'm Blake Hummel.
Our special guest, who's joining us for this lovely game. But I can't even remember who actually picked this for the show.
I think it was me.
I had no recollection of this last week, but I'm like, I'll introduce it, but apparently it was Stefan. Oh, and before we introduce the game that we're going to be talking about, I do want to say this is our week 3 of our Spooktober event that we are bringing you guys, where we're playing 6 different horror games, and now we're on our 3rd one so far. And also, before I forget, want to give a quick shout out to another podcast called Movement Radio. There will be a link in the show notes. They're a podcast that talk about wrestling, sports, haunted places, and a bunch of just different random stuff. So if you need another podcast to add to your rotation, please go and check them out. And Stefan, would you want to introduce the game that you picked out for us?
Actually, Mike messed up, and this wasn't the game I meant. I meant the second one. So it's okay, but I mean, it's Clock Tower. We're playing Clock Tower.
For SNES one is also called Clock Tower.
This one also never came to America. And technically, the real first name of this one is Clock Tower: The First Blood. If you count the PS1 re-release, that has a cutscene and a room that you couldn't open in the first game.
Fear.
Oh, what did I say?
First Blood.
Oh, oops.
She plays Rambo. And
Rambo, yeah.
I would have no problem in this house.
Yeah, so this series there's Clock Tower, then it was re-released for PlayStation as Clock Tower: The First Fear. The second game in the series is also called Clock Tower. The third game is called Clock Tower 2, and the fourth game is called Clock Tower 3. It's very confusing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like if the Square didn't retcon the numbering for Final Fantasy.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, even now it's like, I'm playing Final Fantasy 15. Oh, which one is that? Oh, it's like the 28th game.
It's close.
It's close.
Not that far off.
Final Fantasy 15. Subtitled 28. That's what it should do.
Well, some of the Final Fantasy games aren't even Final Fantasy games. Like Final Fantasy Legend for Game Boy are not Final Fantasy games.
Nah, just count them all.
That's a whole nother.
I just pretend some of them don't exist.
I think Square Enix does as well. So
yes, they do. You don't re-release them. Okay. Well, the game that we did pick out, we said Clock Tower, the Super Nintendo version. This is a game I didn't even know this existed until we were trying to figure out what to do for our Spooktober event.
Really?
And then, I knew of the series, but I never knew about the Super Nintendo version.
I have very vivid memories of this game.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know it exists. Well, I knew it existed, but I didn't know it was related to Phenomena by Dario Argento.
Yeah.
I think related is a strong word there to use, or not. Maybe not strong. The word I'm looking for.
Well, it's pretty close. It's pretty much. It's not like an exact recreation of it, but it's pretty similar.
There's a lot of noise.
Sorry, my dog was barking.
Okay. I heard a dog bark, and I know what that means. I'm somewhere else. All right, but this game is a point-and-click adventure, which is also really freaking strange. But it doesn't use. If you played this on a real Super Nintendo, this actually doesn't even use the mouse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not mouse compatible, which I thought was strange because the PS1 version, I guess, can actually use the PlayStation mouse, which I didn't even know existed.
Oh God, that would make this game so much better.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very strange little
game that doesn't allow you to point.
It also doesn't explain anything to you. Like I had to look online and read all about the game because I didn't understand how to do anything. Like I figured out that you could move around just by clicking Y and she would keep walking, but it took me a little while before I had to really press X to stop. If you hold down LRR, she can run. The game explains nothing to you, or I just didn't look in the right place.
No, it really doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, this is back when games had manuals, so I'm sure that the manual explained everything.
Probably.
It's like another Friday the 13th.
Who knows? I do anything.
I'm already ready.
What this game is, really. This is a point-and-click adventure game, but it's not really an adventure game. It's a point-and-click, like, atmospheric horror game. You're stuck in a mansion with a bunch of friends. They disappear, and you've just got to get out. Try to find a friend and get out.
Yep.
Yeah. It's going to work out so well. Because, I mean, you're all orphans. Like, you were adopted you and the two other girls were adopted. I think you had two other girls, right? Or is it three other girls?
There's three.
Okay, Laura, Lottie,
Jennifer.
Jennifer is you because you're Jennifer.
Ann, sorry, Laura, Ann, and Lottie.
Okay.
Yeah, you were adopted by Simon Barrows, who lives in the clock tower, which is this big, very like, I mean, it's basically the Phenomenon Mansion. You live in this big mansion.
And it's funny too because you're named Jennifer in the game. In the movie, the main character's name is Jennifer, and the girl playing her is Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, they based her off of Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, it's very on the nose.
Someone did tell me beforehand to watch the movie, but I did not.
One of the girls in Phenomena is also named Daria, which I think is very funny. Daria and Dario. Like the whole like Ridley Ripley thing. It's just too confusing.
Yeah, I watched Phenomena right before we started doing this. It's very Dario Argento, where somebody is just doing something simple, like they're just walking, and all of a sudden Goblin starts playing and doing weird guitar solos and drums, and you're just like, okay, and this is what we're in for.
It kind of fits this. That fits. I mean, that's kind of what this game is like. I mean, you spend all you're trying to do mainly is walk around and find items to get out of the to find the girls and figure out what the hell's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what you do, you first encounter the killer, I guess, in 3 different ways, it sounds like, from what I was reading online.
Yeah, you can find him in... Yeah, you can find him outside.
I never even went outside. I didn't even know you could until I watched videos.
Yeah, and every time you find him, he's, like, killing one of your friends, basically. You come across one of your... Is it Laura? You come across Laura, like, strung up in a shower.
Yeah, that is graphic, and he's in the water.
Yeah, he just pops out of the water.
It's amazing.
Amazing was not the word that I would use, but we can go with amazing.
I should say the way it looks is amazing. The way he kind of comes out of the water. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like confusing at first, but then as soon as you realize like what's happening, you're like, oh, I gotta get out of here. I gotta move.
Yeah.
Which is a challenge in this game.
I mean, I used a guide for this entire game just because I didn't even understand what the hell I was doing until after I got near the end, and I thought, I could have played this without a guide, but I was just so terrified of just when you start off the game, you're in this mansion. I mean, it's just, even especially when you first, like we were saying, when you first see that killer, that is terrifying.
I mean, I was the atmosphere builds immediately from like the second you start the game with the clock tower intro, which is a clock. Everything in this game is very, very deliberate. So like the title screen starts off and you hear like a clock ticking 3 times and CLO shows up, and then it hits 12 o'clock and it's like bongs for each hour, and the rest of the letters show up, and it's like very slow, very methodical. You're like, okay, this is the kind of game I'm getting into.
Oh, yeah. One thing we apparently forgot to mention, I just realized this came out in 1995, made by Human Entertainment, which we hadn't mentioned yet. So I want to throw that out there.
Human Entertainment, who I think now makes like rhythm games. I think
they filed bankruptcy in 2000, so they're not making anything.
Or up to 2000, they made Clock Tower, and then after that, they made like a shitload of rhythm games. I think Twilight Syndrome, which is like their only other horror game, and then like a bunch of soccer games and rhythm games. It's like, all right, we're gonna do 2 really good horror games, and then I don't know, but we only got like a year left as a company. Fuck it, let's do soccer.
Hey, soccer's big in everywhere but America, so
it's true. But the guy who directed this game, Hifumi Kono, went on to work for Nude Maker, which is not a great name. Nude Maker, and worked on. They've been contracted to work on some Suda51 and Grasshopper games.
Oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
They worked on, they make Jinko machines.
Steel Battalion and
good game.
Steel Battalion Line of Contact and some other games.
But back to Clock Tower. So the way that as you're wandering around this mansion, I mean, there's one thing I noticed that was interesting is I actually played this with headphones on because you got to play a horror game with headphones on.
Yeah.
There is no music at all when you most of the game. Like you're just walking around and you just hear the stomp, 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 which of her footsteps as she's walking across things. And one of the things
that's even too fast. It's more like stomp, 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 stomp.
Yeah, it's really slow.
You are slow.
And I also didn't even realize about the health system until I was reading about the game, because you have her portrait in the bottom left hand corner, and it changes colors, it goes from blue to orange, yellow, all the way to red, and that actually describes like her kind of like her sanity in a sense.
I kind of took it as like a slasher movie where like the protagonist has to stop somewhere and like catch their breath when they're running away. Yeah. But it's magical in that way.
It takes forever to get your health back, though, if you're like in red.
I really like that portrait though, because that's a super, not quite phenomena inspired thing, but just a Dario Argento inspired thing in general, like Suspiria, especially the 1977 Suspiria, where like it's got that really bright red behind her. It's very reminiscent of like Argento likes to use very, very like thick color fields behind actors sometimes.
Oh yeah, and speaking of Suspiria, one of the ways how you meet the Scissor Man is he drops one of your adopted siblings through a window.
If you're walking a hallway, you hear a scream. I heard the scream. I didn't know what to do, but if you look out the window when you hear the scream, you'll see someone get thrown off the roof or something.
They get like kicked out the window.
Yeah,
right.
It's violent.
Yeah, that's from Suspiria as well. So it's like directly taken from the movie.
My favorite thing about that is if you don't look out the window, the game just assumes that friend is still alive, and that's one of the endings of the game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, if you don't look out the window, if you just pretend it didn't happen, then that friend lives.
Yeah.
If you look out though, she's dead.
I was gonna ask. So, Blake, you said you had fond memories of this. Did you play it when you were younger? Or?
Oh, so I had downloaded an emulator, and I was just looking at games, and I just picked a random game, and this was it. And this game scared the crap out of me as a kid. Like I couldn't even finish it. Like it looking back, it's so stupid because it's so primitive in comparison. But like at the time, it really scared me, and I couldn't even finish it. I got to the part where Laura's in the shower, hung up, and I was like, "Yep, I'm done."
That freaked me out too.
This game, it doesn't really have a lot of jump scares. I mean, there's some. They're like Scissor Man, they're like one of the big villains of the series. Like he'll pop out occasionally, but jump scares is not what this game does. It is just all atmosphere. Like it is just building tension the entire time. And so when something actually happens, even if it's just like Dario Argento movies, like nothing will happen for like 30 minutes, and you'll be sitting there and you're like, something's about to happen, something's about to happen, something's about to happen. And even when something like mildly scary happens, you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I mean, he's got one of those weird morph abilities too, where it's kind of like Mr. X. Like first he's on the second floor, now he's on the first floor, now he's in a crate.
Yeah.
With his scissors for some reason.
At one point, you could walk into like a room with a piano, and if you walk over to the piano, like a ceiling tile pops off almost comically, and he just comes like soaring down like 2 stories.
If you play the piano, he will jump down on the piano and play some of it with his feet before he chases after you with
that part's hilarious.
Yeah, it's great.
I audibly laughed at that part.
I didn't get that part. Because when I went in that room, for some reason he was hiding in the curtains in that room from me. And one time I checked the curtains and he came out and I went, "Up, reload. We ain't opening those curtains again." What the Scissor Man is, at least in this game, is a little midget or a child, whoever the hell he is.
Yeah, he's a child.
With a giant pair of scissors that are as big as him. So we're talking like a 3-foot, 4-foot pair of scissors.
Yeah, some shears, basically.
Okay. That makes it sound makes more sense. But still, why the hell is somebody walking around with a giant pair of scissors anyway? I don't understand.
His longtime profession was a haircut stylist.
He's just trying to garden.
But in the first game, the one we played, Scissor Man is you find out about the story. It's your basic horror game. You find out about the story throughout the game as you go along. You find out that like you find your dad at some point dead, which is very confusing.
You don't have.
You don't have to, but you can, and it's very confusing because it's like, why would my dad be dead in here?
I was wondering
this was all planned out from the very beginning or something. But you find out that Mary, Mrs. Barrows, who's like very much the like one of the big bads of the game. The Scissor Man is her son, Bobby Barrows, who's like a decrepit demon type guy.
In the movie, he's just a wacky child that kills people, and he looks exactly the same in the movie as he does in the game, which is it's unsettling when you see it. Plus,
Well, there's like some art for the
Argento,
game that has him almost like zombified, like he's almost decrepit and decayed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This is very creepy.
I did not like Bobby Barrows at all. I didn't, and that's also when the music kicks in this game. Whenever he starts chasing you, this eerie ass music will start up, which was not fun either.
Mm-hmm.
It made me run a lot faster. And then her adrenaline kicks in, also, which I thought was interesting, where you constantly have her she run. Normally, she always walk, but when she's being chased to be murdered by a little midget with scissors, she's actually running the whole time.
Yeah, and you have to. What I found really interesting is I thought you just had to get away, but you actually can go and like hide from Scissor Man too.
Yeah,
I thought you're supposed to. I thought I never really ran from him. I just always would try to go somewhere where I could hide. Like you can hide in the master bedroom. If you kill the parrot, you can hide underneath the bed. Otherwise, the parrot will. There's a stupid parrot that will alert him that you're in there, and he'll stab you through the bed.
Yeah,
because fuck this game.
But you can outrun him too. It's just you got to like run to like the other side of the mansion, pretty much.
Okay.
You gotta pretty much, you gotta like really take off.
You can sort of.
He is a lot like Mr. X. Like Stefan's right. He is basically Mr. X.
You can knock him on the ground, but it doesn't do anything. If he tries to hit you and she grabs the scissors, depending on her health, you can rapidly tap B, which the game does not tell you, and you can push him off and knock him on the ground and run past him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like a Resident Evil 3 parry or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which means nothing to me, by the way.
Oh, it will one day, Mike. You just wait.
I want it to because I feel like I'm missing out. But one thing, since I did mention, I did want to go back into it. When I first started playing this game, I actually played this game watching a YouTube video, room for room, because I was terrified of this game. Freaking terrified. Like I started out, you get in the master bedroom, like, okay, what do you do? Okay, I'm checking the drawers, I'm checking the bed. Oh, I'm gonna check this mirror. And all of a sudden the hand comes out and starts choking her. And I didn't know what to do, and I just died. I'm like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
I found that part. Go ahead.
Yes, you're good.
I found that part very strange because the game isn't really rooted in the supernatural per se, and then there's just a hand that comes out of the mirror, which is like a complete tonal shift.
It also only happens sometimes. Not everyone who played this who looks at the mirror will get the hand. It's only sometimes it happens, which is also weird. I mean, the only other supernatural thing in this game is there's a floating doll in one of the rooms where she goes, I think something's watching me, and all of a sudden this doll will come at you.
Oh, yeah.
Which was annoying, too. And can kill you, by the way. I didn't die, but I was getting close.
We should mention that this is one of the first, like, big horror games, too. We didn't mention that yet. Like, there were a couple of horror games before this that didn't sell very well. But this was...
There was Alone in the Dark.
Alone in the Dark was, like, that's usually considered, like, one of the first. There was, like, The Seventh Guest. There was actually an Alien versus Predator game in 1994 when I was looking up on this. That was like a light gun type or like a Doom knockoff shooter game. But people were like, "Yeah, that's a horror game." I'm like, no, it's Doom. Doom is not a horror game.
It can be. It was to me.
64 is.
Yeah.
I want to play that someday.
But yeah, this is kind of like helped solidify the horror genre as we know it. Like it went from being kind of like Alone in the Dark certainly has its merits, but this is like really. The atmosphere of this game is crazy.
It does a really good job of conveying the fear that you feel.
Mm-hmm. I would say that. A story as well. Like, granted, the story is just like pretty much stolen from Phenomena, but it does have a story.
Mm-hmm.
I said every time you say Phenomena, all I hear do 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 do. But
Phenomena.
I just do every time. Sorry, I know. I just took the. That's what comes through my head. But also, as I was saying, there's certain things you can do there's little. I mean, one of the whole goals of the game is to try to find all these different items that, in like Silent Hill fashion, I felt will help you get through something that you might not think about. Like there's one part you go in the kitchen and you open up a fridge and all of a sudden all these bugs appear in the screen and come after her, and you have to find a insecticide in another room.
Directly from the movie as well. Dario Argento, for some reason, he's really fascinated with maggots and bugs for some reason.
Yeah.
So in all of his horror movies, there's always at least a handful of maggots in somebody's face.
And skeletons. He loves having like bones and skeletons hidden. Just I don't even say hidden. Like at some point in all of his movies, like somebody falls into a big pile of bones. It seems like.
Yes.
Oh, and is this movie
is
on
really
anything?
Creepy in Phenomena because doesn't he use in Phenomena like a chick falls into a big pool, like a disgusting moldy pool filled with bones. I want to say they actually used like real bones or something for it. They used like actual skeletons.
Yeah, Jennifer's character goes into the dungeon. It's essentially like the game Clock Tower. And she finds, instead of her dad, she finds a police officer, and she falls into this huge pit with just corpses.
And agates and corpses. Ugh, it's disgusting.
It's gross. It's super gross.
Yeah. And knowing, like, going back and knowing that it's like actual bones too. Like, Jesus Christ.
They had no qualms, huh? Oh, is that movie on streamable anywhere?
It's on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It is very hard to find old Dario Argento stuff. So if you find it on YouTube, just watch it on YouTube.
YouTube, somebody's making money off it, so like YouTube. But okay, back to Clock Tower. So another thing about this game is, like we were saying earlier, did anyone find the Scissor Man for the first time in the pool where he jumps down or something, or jumps out of the pool?
I did not on my playthrough. I
did, and then I died. So I ended up finding her in the shower and surviving.
Okay, same here. That's what I was just following. And also, one thing I thought was funny, as I was watching this walkthrough and trying to go what he was doing, some of the rooms would be different in his playthrough versus the playthrough I was doing. I'm like, what the hell? And then I realized that there are rooms in this place that switch places depending on when you load the game up the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So it can get, I mean, sometimes it doesn't matter. They're just two empty rooms that don't have anything that matters. But sometimes it'll be a room with a key that I need the key, and yet the room was somewhere else in the mansion than where it was for me. And that didn't help the fear at all either for me. I mean, that just heightened me not want to play this.
I was actually a little mad at myself because I played this game and beat it earlier today because it's not a very long game. To be honest, I was looking at speedruns of it, and speedruns for somebody claims like for a speedrun for all the endings took them an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh,
for all the endings. There's endings from A to H or S to H. And I didn't realize that they were like such wild, like all the endings themselves aren't very different. They aren't wildly different except for a couple. But I didn't realize how many different things you could do in the game upon replaying it. I was like, oh, I must have missed some stuff because I had like a rope in my inventory that I didn't use or something.
I didn't use the rope either.
But I didn't realize that they were very every item has a very specific purpose. And so this game really was meant to be like replayed over and over again to really experience all of it. Because there's so much very minute stuff in this game that has like very specific reasons for it. And I don't think it's possible to actually encounter all of it in one playthrough.
No, I don't think so either.
Which I mean, you wouldn't anyway, because you'd want to get all those endings.
You have to do it multiple times. You have to play different ways. Although, yeah, like I agree. You're not going to see everything otherwise. It's not meant to be.
Yeah,
it's not meant to be. That's this game.
But that's really impressive for 1995 to have that many different features in a game that are all kind of hidden.
I also think it's funny that right after the year after this game came out, 96, the PS1 version comes out. So that means that this must have been right on the cusp of the end of the SNES then.
Oh yeah,
which I didn't think about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still couldn't get over how I never even knew this game existed until we ended up talking about it for the show, and apparently we accidentally picked the wrong Clock Tower for the show. But hey,
it's all good.
Yeah, it didn't come out in the U.S.
None of them came out in the U.S. This series is exclusively a Japanese series.
Well, the first and the third
Clock Tower,
did.
Yeah.
And the
Clock
second
Tower
one.
2 does.
Oh, it does take the second one to come out in America?
Yeah, the first one was the PS1.
PS1, yeah.
And then the PS2 at Clock Tower 3.
Did it come out in America, or did it just get a...
Yeah, it came out.
Okay.
It's
because I know Clock Tower 1, you've got to like really... If you want to find like an actual cartridge of Clock Tower 1 in English, you got to find like a fan translation somebody programmed into a cartridge for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or like
refurbished.
Well, I actually played this on original hardware, but I have a SD card for my Super Nintendo, so...
Yeah. I think it was... Even they did re-release this game, but I think they only released it on PlayStation Network in Japan.
Yeah, it never came to
Wii
America.
in Japan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a bunch of different systems, also on the Wonder Swan Windows. But again, it never came to America. They never bothered translating. We all played a translated ROM of this game.
Isn't the Wonder Swan version the chromatic version?
I don't know what you mean.
Chromatic, like black and white.
Like monochromatic, you mean?
Monochromatic. Sorry, I'm tired.
Chromatic is the opposite.
If you get tired, just do what Jennifer does. Just sit down on your knees and look at your brain, then your health will come back. That's how it works in this game.
I'm gonna try that.
I wouldn't have known that worked. And also, I thought it was funny every time when she does kneel down to rest. To me, it looked like she was praying. But that's just what my brain went to, I guess. Let's say. But that's the only way to heal in this game. You have to stop moving, and like especially it helps to do it in a small room, and then she will just sit there and end up healing, which I thought was kind of strange too.
And again, it's very deliberate. You got to sit there and you got to really wait for it.
Mm-hmm. And it can vary. Sometimes she'll kneel down faster. Sometimes take longer before she starts resting too. I mean, there are so many random elements to this game. Other than the items all are going to be wherever they are in that room. They're going to be in that spot. They don't move around, thank God. But no, one thing I did enjoy doing I don't know. I'm assuming you guys did the same thing. When you go up and I think the second floor. If Scissor Man is chasing you, there's a board that you put down over a hole. If you stand on the other side when he's coming towards you, she pulls the board away when he jumps and he falls through the floor. It made me
I didn't know that.
It's silly.
I only knew because of the guide. He comes right back. Like, it gets rid of him, but if you find him again, he'll come after you again. He doesn't die or anything. But, yeah, it's one of the ways to get rid of him. I mean, one of the dumb ways that doesn't always work that I saw you can do is there's a bathroom. You can go inside this bathroom with 2 doors. You can lock the other door. And sometimes he'll give up. Sometimes he'll break down the door with his scissors, and things don't end well. I don't after that.
I think the creepiest one to me is when you hide under the bed with the parrot, where he just stabs the whole scissors through the bed. It's so creepy.
I would have never known that the only way to get rid of that parrot is you have to release him, and you have to go in between the beds, grab the blanket, and then when the parrot gets nearby, you hit a button and throw the blanket over the parrot, which ends up killing him. I found out.
Yeah.
I mean, little things in this game that I would have never found if I didn't have a guide. Like if I wouldn't have been using any type of guide, I would have never got anywhere in this game because I didn't understand anything that was happening.
Certainly not in a week. This is definitely one of those games where it's like, this is all I have for like a month, so I'm just gonna play and just try to find every little detail in it.
Well, there's some really deep puzzles, maybe not deep, but just stupid that I wouldn't have realized. Like you have to get perfume and you have to get a black cloak for a part later in the game. But one, I wonder if anyone did. I didn't do it personally, unfortunately. Did anybody end up in the prisoner cell and get captured?
I did, actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did you have the ham?
I had already given it to him, so I don't know if that makes a difference. But one of Jennifer's friends came and rescued me, and then she got shot.
Yeah, that's the one I had. Yeah.
If you don't give him the ham, I think he kills you or eats you or something. I don't know.
Yeah. This game also isn't very. This game sounds like very gory, but it really isn't.
No, it's too old.
No, when you die, it's just like you'll see like a flash of like somebody attacking you, and it's like game over, you died. It's like, oh, I kind of want to see it. I kind of want this game to go like all out with the deaths. Or like when Scissor stabs the bed, it'd be great if it was like just blood came out from under the bed, but it doesn't even do that. It's just like you're dead.
Well, that actually happened to me, but I think I must have had enough health that she came out from under the bed.
Yeah, if you when I was watching the video, one thing the guy would do is he would rest before he go into a room that he knew would have Scissor Man. If you have more health, you can handle more, and it's not even considered health in this game. I think it's considered like stamina or sanity, like something of that nature, where she just starts losing it. It's a strange game. Oh, that's what I got. I still can't get over. I didn't even realize Jennifer Connelly, the one that you can really realize she's based off of, was the girl in Labyrinth. I did not know that. I forgot that was her name because when I was thinking of Labyrinth, I just think of David Bowie and Magic Dance. I don't think of Jennifer. But yeah,
didn't you recently buy a David Bowie Labyrinth?
Yes. Yeah, at Walgreens for $20. Yes, but my wife loves Labyrinth.
Good movie.
I just remember his bulge. That's all I remember.
Yeah, there's that too.
The whole movie's about puberty and becoming sexually attracted to people for the first time. So
that what that movie's about?
Basically, yeah.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. He's the Gallo King. Did you see his giant dick?
I tried not to, but yes, I did.
He's entrancing her with his giant dick.
One thing I never thought we'd say on the podcast.
We don't say a lot of things on this podcast, sir. You shouldn't.
Look, it's David Bowie, so I think it's fine.
It's great.
David Bowie's giant dick is PG-13.
Okay. One of the rooms that I thought was the creepiest in this game, which serves no purpose, is the room with the mannequins in it, where they're all dressed up in like 1920s or not 1920s, like what 1800 gowns or so.
Well, you can actually encounter Scissor Man in there if you don't encounter him anywhere else in that wing of the mansion. He'll be in there.
Oh, okay. You see, that's the other thing I was saying about this game. Just doesn't. There's so many random things that can happen to you. Like that didn't happen to me. I just went in that room, knocked off the head of the mannequin for no reason, and walked away. But so
yeah, this game is filled with rooms that that seem to only exist as like a way for Scissor Man to spawn, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's like the one you mentioned earlier. There's one room where he's hiding in a box that actually, if depending on the room, it's a box you have to get past after you get rid of him to go get a key item, or I think an actual key or something.
Is that the one where a black cat can jump out of it instead of him and it's like freak you out?
Yes, it's two different rooms, but that's one of them. Yeah, and I mean it's meant to mess with you. Like you're expecting him to come out the box, and it's just a cat instead.
Yeah, you see the door open, you freak out for a brief second.
I was always annoyed when Bobby Barrel, the Scissor Man, is chasing after me. I was just like, "Come, not again! I don't want to deal with you right now."
Well, he's not very intimidating.
Well, you got to keep running, and I didn't really know the way that you like. If you go into a room and you're like, "Oh shit, there's nowhere to hide," and you try to go back, depending on how long you took, he's gonna be waiting for you, and he's gonna have scissors ready, and you gotta fight him, knock him over, and keep running. Which, I mean, I only know what. I think 2 different places to get rid of him in this game. I know there's more, but I only found the 2. Well, because of the guy, the bed, and then taking the board and making him fall to the floor. That worked wonders.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys do to get rid of him when he was chasing after you?
There was one room where I ran in and climbed over some boxes and hid. And he walked in, and walked up to the boxes, and I was like, oh shit, he's gonna find me. Like this isn't a good hiding spot. Walked up to the boxes, stopped, turned around, walked to the door, and I was like, oh, good, I escaped him. But he stopped at the door, turned around again, and gave the room one more once over, and then left. And I was like, my heart started pounding.
See, that's what we're talking about. Like, this game does a really good job of, even though it's a very simple game, it does a good job of inducing fear. Did you have anything different, Blake?
I escaped that way, which was preceded by like a 10-minute chase scene. Because I was so low on health or whatever that I literally had to like sit and rest while he was chasing me. In fact, I think we started upstairs and I ended up going downstairs, and then I just sat by the stairs, recovered my health because he was so slow to come and get me, and then I went back upstairs and hid.
That's kind of funny. Oh, also, she walks up these stairs so damn slow. Like, that was terrible. That killed me.
Scissor Man's slow, too, so.
It fits. I mean, but that music makes you want to just run, because I can't even think about how it goes, to repeat it, but just having that music constantly happening.
It's just, like, very, like, repetitive. It's just a very repetitive melody, but it's the only music in the game. Like, it's hard to stress that. It's the only time you hear music is when he's chasing you, and so... Like, it really feels like you gotta move, because it's the only time you feel like any, like, real, like, extreme tensity.
And you do feel scared. Like, I'd get terrified when that music would start up and he'd start chasing after me. I was like, oh, no, not again.
I think the music is also based on the soundtrack of Phenomena. I think it's based on, like, the theme song for Phenomena.
Every time. Do, 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 do.
Phenomena.
Do, 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 do. Okay. And we were mentioning earlier, like, the reason why her dad was in the house is because he's a doctor that I think was the one that helped deliver. I was going to say give birth, but that's not correct. Helped deliver the kids, and he was the one that realized like they were a demon or something. One was a demon. Were there 2 kids?
There were 2. There were twins, and yeah, if you find his body, you find like a note on him that I'd say is on par with any like Resident Evil note. But it's very creepy where he's talking about like the woman Mary had 2 kids. No, not kids, demons. He just goes on this huge spiel about like how they were malformed, and one of the kids was just like evil looking and had like a bad aura, and the other kid was like stunted. They were just like they were bad seeds.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming one of the kids is what we haven't talked about yet, but I don't want to talk about yet is in the end.
Yeah, Dan.
Okay. Because I was curious about that. But also, like, as I was playing through this, there's an item I never got that the guy I was watching got, which only spawns depending on if you need it, the game decides. There's a scepter you can get in one of the rooms, but when I went in the room, it wasn't there, which is in the piano room.
Yeah, I got it.
Which I just thought that's interesting how some items don't spawn depending on the game feels like, you don't need them. You didn't do this requirement, so you get this other item instead.
Well, there's two different ways to get to the last area of the game, and that's one of them.
Yeah, you get the scepter or the demon idol.
Which is inside the breast of one of the statues, but you can't tell. There's no blinking thing like in a normal Super Nintendo game. There's nothing. You just have to click on it and go, oh, look, you got an item.
The game just assumes you're going to feel up every statue. But yeah, so much of this game feels so random that I think that adds to like the danger of it. Like you don't know. I think if I played this game a second time, I think I'd feel just as tense because I wouldn't know where I was meant to go. I feel like I was playing a different version of the same game, basically. Like most horror games, you play, like I would say, Amnesia. If you play it twice, it's way less scary because you know where to go, you know the puzzles, you know how to do everything. So you can pretty much just run through and you kind of get a sense like, oh, like I understand this monster now. It's not as terrifying. I feel like in this game, because it's so random, you'll start the game and you have no idea what to do. Like, I don't know. I need to keep exploring until I figure out what the game is going to give me, and that's how I'm going to beat the game.
Oh, by the way, that prisoner is apparently Simon Barrows. This is in the jail cell.
Yeah, the father.
Which I didn't know that until I was reading. I have a guide pulled up to give me more information about this game while we talk.
I love the opening of this game is awesome. I love the opening of this game so much.
It's creepy, you mean?
It's very creepy. It starts in September, which means we should have played this game in September. I didn't know. The game starts with it all happened in September. Also, I like how it all happened in September. They didn't want to make it October for some reason. October, famously the most scary month, but they're like, nah, this is in September.
Resident Evil takes place in September, the original trilogy.
That's true.
Well, 2 and 3 do, anyways.
September 28th.
Started in September. You're a bunch of orphans. You're going into the Barrows house, the clock tower. And the game starts with you in a room with the three other girls, and Mary's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go find Mr. Barrows," and walks out, and leaves you in there, and immediately everyone just starts bitching. Immediately everyone's like, "She's taking forever." Like she just walked out the door, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go find her. She's taking forever." And they're like, let her go. It's like she's fine. She'll find him and come back. We'll just wait here. And Jennifer's just like, no, I'm going to go find her. I just can't wait. And the second you walk out the door, you hear a scream, which is funny because you hear one person scream and then you go back in and all three girls are gone and the lights are out.
Yep.
And that's where the gameplay starts.
Which was strange.
It was very strange. But yeah, it's just so unnerving.
Well, you think it would take longer for three girls to disappear? And there's only, two killers, I guess, but they worked fast, those killers. Let's say that.
I think it's like you go in and what I imagine happened is Scissor Man walked in and they all screamed and ran out the other door or something. And they're all running through the house as you're running through the house.
Which is accurate. I mean, I would run too if I saw some guy chasing after me with a giant pair of scissors.
I don't know. It's so, I would imagining that situation as I played it. It was so unnerving to me. Like going to someone's house and then you're like, oh, I'm going to go get a drink real quick. I'll be right back. And as soon as you walk out the door, you hear a scream and all the lights go out. Like, all right, fuck this. I'm going home. They'll figure it out. I'm not involved. I don't even know if I'd call the cops and be like, nope, I'm just done. I'm taking myself out of this situation.
Time to go. Bye, guys.
Bye.
That's a good way to put it, I guess. I mean, so you had mentioned this earlier, Blake. I can't remember this on the recording or not, but you had mentioned that you can actually get inside. There's a car in the garage. You can get inside the car and just drive off or something?
Yeah, you have to actually try to enter it a second time, and she'll actually drive through the garage door. Yeah. And that's one of the endings. But as she's driving off in the rearview mirror, you see the mansion, and then all of a sudden Scissor Man pops up from the back seat, and it just fades to black with a scream.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a terrible ending.
It's not a death, but it might as well be.
That's a death. I mean, if you're in a car and the murderer is in the
because I was looking at the requirements for all the different endings because there's so many of them, like I said. But I think for that ending, you need to see at least one friend die and then go to the car, which I find even funnier because it's like you find a friend dying and you're just like, nope, fuck this, I'm out, peace.
Well, I mean that makes sense. I mean, you're not. I mean, are they really your friend? They're just people who got adopted with you. Oh, time to go. There's a murderer here. I'll go get help.
Well, also, it's like you're orphans. You grew up in the same orphanage, so you know each other. But like, they also look like they're all 20 years old. So like, they all just got adopted as 20-year-olds. It's very strange.
It's a weird game. Oh, and one of the areas. So mainly, what you're trying, at least if you're trying to get the good ending, before we get into the ending, I do want to mention the last area, is that your goal is to try to get all these different items. Like we were saying, you get the demon idol or you get the scepter, and you unlock in like looks like a sacrifice room if you ask me, and you unlock this room and it leads into tunnels underneath the mansion.
Yes. And
that's where like part of the game, like you've been collecting these items throughout the game, and you should need to have a black robe and perfume because you'll see what the hell's her name, Mrs. Barrows, I guess.
Mary.
Yeah.
Mary. Yeah. You see her walk by a dog.
Mary Berry from Great British Bake Off is there.
You see her walk by a dog, and you have to put on the black robe, put on the perfume in order to get past the dog. Yeah. Which I would have never figured that out in a million years if I wouldn't have had something to tell me to do it.
No, yeah, absolutely. I would I got lucky in having both, but I absolutely could have screwed up. It would have been so easy to screw up and not pick up even one of those items.
Well, I missed the perfume. I had to go back when I got near the end. I had to run back and go get it so I could continue on with the game because I just completely missed it. I didn't know it existed.
Yeah, you find the perfume in her bedroom and the black robe in the room with the bird. Not the room with the bird, but there's a bird's nest in a storage room, and the black robe is in there. I guess when she decides she needs to go in the basement, she has to go to the storage room and find her black robe.
Well, she already has one. You're collecting a backup one.
Oh, that's the backup robe.
Yeah, pretty much. Because when you go there, like the game will tell you, it will show her put the robe on and go past the dog, and then you're supposed to go, okay, if I put the robe on, but then what would have made you think that you need the freaking perfume? Because my brain wouldn't have went there ever. Even if I had
a dog, and dogs can smell you, I guess.
Yeah, but my brain still wouldn't have went there.
I like the idea that Mary is like on Amazon and she orders like a 20-pack of black robes. I need 20 women's medium black robes. I'm just gonna do a subscription. These robes they just fall apart so easily.
That feels like something that once a month. That'd come away from Wish. Get 10 for the price of 1.
Now that you've said that, every one of us and every one of our listeners is gonna get Wish ads for black robes.
That's how Wish works. It's just somehow like, oh, you listen to this, here you go. You know you want it.
Everyone's gonna get Wish ads for black robes and like butt plugs, and no one's gonna know why.
God, Wish is just strange as hell.
It's all wishes.
Wish is not nice. All right, and then as you go into the tunnels, that's when I was really confused. Like you walk through these tunnels, and you'll find the second girl, depending on how you're doing, laying there. But I think she was dead or something, or dying. Okay,
yeah, she's dying.
Doesn't say how. But I guess
she's dying, and she tells you that you need to go throw the switch in the clock tower, and then she dies after being sacrificed. I guess Mary tried to sacrifice her and was just like, "I'll let you bleed out," and walked away. Like I'm a busy woman. Listen,
I was wondering why you didn't do anything to save her.
I gotta go organize my robes.
So, and then that's it. Oh God! So you go through this place before you go up to the clock tower, and you're walking through these caves, and you see a big curtain. And I go up the curtain. I move the curtain. I was not expecting what I saw come out of the curtain.
Yeah,
a giant mutated baby.
100% shocked. Like what?
Well, before you even find it, we should say you can find your dad who I think it's your dad who has the note that says there's a cradle under the star.
Oh yes.
You need to find the cradle under the star. And that's actually one of my favorite little reveals in the game is when you realize, you walk into a room and there's a giant pentagram on the ground and a big iron desk with a cross carved into it. And you realize that the star is the pentagram carved into the ground. I thought that was really cool.
I never caught that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I was looking, I expected Cradle Under the Star. I expected to walk into, I feel like in a modern like horror game, let's say you're playing like Outlast or something, and it's like Cradle Under the Star. I expect to walk into a room with a crib and like the Starry Night on the wall, or like the kids like glow in the dark stars on the ceiling, not just a pentagram on the ground, and you realize that it's underneath that.
Welcome to the clock tower.
It's just very creepy. Knowing that something's underneath that is very creepy.
Whole game is creepy.
Yeah, then you find the cradle, which is just a giant velvet bed. And
then he freaking chases. Then the baby chases after you.
Yeah.
I died so many times in that part because you run through. She runs away. She trips because, of course, why not trip? You know, they have to trip, which pisses me off. And then she keeps running, and then she falls some more, and then you jump into this water. And you go up this little cliff, and if you don't, the first time, no matter what, you have to fall. Then she slides on down. And then the second time, you have to tap B real quick. Game does not tell you this. And if you don't, she's just going to fall and die. I died like 10 times. I'm like, what the hell am I doing wrong? Until I finally figured out, oh, you just have to tap the panic button and it will work.
Yeah, actually, I had to look that part up because I had no idea what to do.
Yeah, it's not communicated well.
I like how so like this is once you do that, you're in the end game, and at this point you're in the end game, and this is where like the majority of the endings open up for you, but you can't really die at this point. You can only get an ending. It's very bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
Like instead of dying, you're just gonna get one of the 17 endings.
Should say how the baby dies though.
Oh,
okay. I'll let you do that, Stefan, since you volunteered.
Well, the reason why I asked is because I actually looked away from the TV when it happened. All I know is he was on fire.
As you're climbing, there's a box of kerosene. She knocks down the kerosene, it rolls into him, and then lights him on fire. It looks like a graphic from Earthbound.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it does look like something from Earthbound. Even more so because Dan, despite the fact that Scissorman, quote unquote, grew up to be like a decrepit child with a giant pair of scissors, Dan just stayed a baby and got bigger.
Yeah, it's also not my joke. It came from a YouTube video, but I thought it was funny. So
I thought he was defeated by the hill. I'm like, that was it.
No, he blew up. She dropped kerosene on him.
He's incredibly combustible, and as he comes across the carpet, it just static forms, and he just shocks himself and completely self-immolates.
Any form of exercise, and he's dead.
It is so fucking creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It kind of looks like the Brood Mother. It kind of looks like the Brood Mother from the first Dragon Age, which is like a giant.
Mother.
It's been so long since I've played it.
When you say Brood, I always thought you were talking about the Brood Mother from X-Men. I was like, he doesn't look like a giant bug.
The Brood Mother in the first Dragon Age, it's in like the Dwarven city. It's like the last boss of the Dwarven city, the Dwarven Underground. And it's this giant.
I vaguely remember.
Like demon that's got a bunch of boobs. It's got a bunch of boobs, and it's like giant and purple, and it's got growths all over it. It's very creepy looking.
Yeah, that's just.
I'll never forget. I don't remember what any of the other final bosses in Dragon Age are, but I will forever remember the Brood Mother.
I can't remember it, unfortunately.
It's just so creepy. Just look up a picture of Brood Mother. It's super creepy.
Oh, I was just looking up some of the endings before we were doing this, before we started recording, and we're getting there at the ending part of this game. And some of the endings are freaking. I mean, I thought one was hilarious. One of the endings is you run up to, God, what the hell is the woman's name? Mary, and she's like, "Everything will be okay, Jennifer." And as she's hugging you, she pulls out a knife and just stabs you, like it's Friday the 13th Part 1.
Yeah,
and it's very Mrs. Voorhees.
I'm just like, well, that's an ending, all right. So I would have never gotten. I'm going to go first. I would have never gotten the ending that I got, which is ending S, if I wasn't watching the video, where she goes up to the top of the clock tower, this is almost in every ending. And you go up to the top of the clock tower, you'll see one of whatever girl hasn't been killed yet laying there, and you'll see these two buttons. And of course, the music is playing. You're being chased by a midget with scissors. And if you hit the two switches, for some reason, you hit these two switches, and then she drops down to her knees to take it to prayer, and Bobby Barrows grabs his ears and flies off and falls off the tower.
Yeah.
So I didn't
understand.
Like
the bells start going off and he just can't handle it.
Yeah.
To me, it was just weird because I'm like, you freaking fell through a board when I pulled the board out, and you were just fine, and now you fall here and you're dead. I'm like,
well,
okay.
he falls into the clock tower gears.
Yeah.
I guess you would not be okay.
He's clearly possessed by a venom symbiote, Mike.
Okay.
He can't handle a church mouse.
That was good.
That'd be great if while he's chasing with the scissors, he's just like, "You're a turd. Get back here, you little turd."
So I do want, since I know Blake was the one that played this a few times. Did you get any of the real like bad endings besides the car one?
No, this was technically my first time playing the game all the way through, but
okay.
Since I am part of the speedrunning community on Twitch, I do know people that do speedrun this. So I mean, I've seen a lot of the game.
Oh yeah, by the way, in case anyone doesn't know, Blake is a speedrunner, and I've caught some of your Resident Evil 2 speedruns. They're pretty good.
Thanks. I've been speedrunning Final Fantasy IX, so.
Oh, nice.
We will be. I do want to talk about that after we wrap up stuff for Clock Tower. The last part of the show. What's up?
So we should have Blake on the Stalker episode, because when we were talking about it, I looked up a speedrun of it, and it was like 20 minutes. I was like, fucking how? I'd go and watch the speedrun, and I was like, they broke the entire game and got to the end, and I was like, I can't believe that this is real.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. Russians.
Damn Russians.
Well, hey, I'm not gonna go around here. I want to know what ending did you guys get? Oh no, I should finish up my story. So after Bobby Barrows falls down, she goes over to the girl, and then all of a sudden, randomly, I was very confused. She's like, "You killed my sons." I'm like, "Who the hell is? Why is the girl on the ground yelling at me?" It took me a little bit before I realized that it was Mary. Runs out of the darkness. Looks different now because she has like a white shirt on or something. Starts choking you. But since I released a crow earlier in the game, which apparently this is what it does, the crow come with other crows and they peck at her eyes, and then she falls off the clock tower.
Right. It's very much in line with the movie in that in the movie she has the power to use bugs. So she calls on bugs to kind of kill her, stop him.
Yeah, she's like telepathic / psychic.
See, she died in a different way in my playthrough. Jennifer actually like electrocuted her. She pushed her into the panel that with the switches for the clock tower, and it electrocuted her to death.
Yep, I saw that. That looked cooler than the way she died on mine, but I did think that was cool.
I wish I had gotten the crow ending, because it's just so funny to me that like the idea that like, oh, you save a crow and like the crow will owe you. It's like a life debt, like a Wookiee. The crow owes you for life. Yeah. One day I will come back and I will find you. There's like a great it reminds me of, there's like a Tumblr post somebody made of like a story about a guy swerving to avoid a squirrel, and the squirrel swearing a life debt and like coming back to save the guy in his hour of need. All because he swerved to avoid it one day. It's like, little did he know the squirrel would remember that for the rest of his life.
Okay.
Those are very smart, though.
And then in my ending, they both went up the top of the clock tower, and then they just saw the rain. The rain finally stopped, and that was the end of the game. So
I figured the crow was going to be, because when you come across the parrot earlier, that should have just been the crow, because the parrot, crows can also mimic human speech, but yeah, when you come across the parrot, it's like repeatedly going, "I'll get you, I'll get you, I'll get you, I'll get you." It's very creepy.
Everything in this game is creepy.
It's creepy because Scissorman doesn't talk, so like, was it mimicking Mary chasing after one of the girls? Who was he mimicking?
Probably Mary, because Mary, you find out too, is freaking psycho. So
that's true. Yes, like Stefan said, she is pretty much just Mrs. Voorhees.
100%.
Or Miss Voorhees. She is single.
I wouldn't get that reference if I had not. Well, actually, politically correct, it is not. They got rid of Mrs. Now it's just all Miss. By the way, in school they don't teach you Mrs. anymore.
Oh, really? Miss Mary.
Yeah, I only know this because I watched a documentary about political correctness that mentioned that. Or how is that? Maybe not political correctness. Maybe it was racial gap, or not racial gap, but sex gap when it comes to money.
The racial gap. We're going to talk about Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah, wrong words came out of my mouth. That happens.
But I guess it makes sense because there's no because it is kind of like possessive when you say Mrs.
something. I forget. It's
because it's
a
not like
show-
it's like Miss and like Misters, I guess. It's kind of how you could read it. But
I think the reason why they changed it is because they felt that. Well, I always thought it was stupid because I remember being in school. I'd be like, "Well, do I say Miss or Mrs.? I don't know what to call my teacher." So I never liked it as a kid. But the reason they changed it had to do that it shouldn't be a woman marrying is what defines who she is type of thing. And that's what it has to do with.
That's fair.
So
it was always confusing that Mr. just was mystery, but
yeah,
I don't know. Why didn't they just add another word for Mr.? That way you know the guy was married too. Like Mr. and
Mr.
Mistered.
Mistered. You heard it here first, guys. Mistered.
Right.
I am no longer Mr. Albertin. I am Mistered Albertin.
Mistered Albertin.
Okay.
Or you become Mrs. too. It's like it becomes like a unisex term.
Okay. What ending? Blake? What ending did you get for this one?
I got the one where she pushes her into the electrical panel, and then she just stands outside at the balcony.
I take it one of the girls survived, right?
I didn't see anybody.
Oh, so you were alone again?
But I mean, I didn't see all of them die either. So ambiguity.
Yeah, I think that's ending B, and I think for that only Jennifer gets out.
It's weird.
For ending, you had somebody with you because you did ending S, so you found.
Yeah, I had. I don't remember what girl. Laura, I know I found in the shower.
So you found
Lottie. Yeah, probably because Lottie was dead. I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Lottie can live at all.
Okay.
Because this game is racist against redheads. Redhead always dies in the horror. I got ending A, which was where you throw. You show up. And Mary like comes out of she like pops out of the shadows, and you're talking to. Well, I was talking to Anne. You can talk to Anne or Laura. Like you show up in the clock tower. You're with Anne, and Mary pops out and throws Anne off the tower and throws her into the gears and kills her. Which I was super pissed by because I was like, oh, good, I got an ending where somebody lives. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, fuck you.
That sounds kind of cool, though.
And then the crows push her out. So
it's a terrible way, but it sounds cool.
The similar ending, except your friend dies.
I think
to get that one, you have to find Simon in the jail cell and see two people die. There's very specific requirements. So ending A, I'm looking at now. For ending A, you have to encounter Simon Barrows in the jail cell, see only two friends die. So I ran into Laura very early, so I couldn't, and Lottie, so I couldn't run into. If I had run into Anne as well, she wouldn't have been there. You have to free the crow, and you have to choose the third floor in the elevator. And
that
endings
is very particular.
Endings A, B, and C are all considered canon.
What?
It's like Silent Hill.
How does that work?
Any of those could be canon endings. Basically, all the rest are not canon.
It's like Silent Hill.
Which ending did you get, Stefan?
I got the same one as Mike.
Okay.
Did you use a guide or did you play legit?
No, I tried to play legit, but I ended up using a guide.
Well, that's good. I mean, I won't ever say anything about using. I mean, I think guides are the best way to go. So
for this game,
to help me. So
for this game, like if you're gonna play it once, use a guide. If you're gonna sit down and play it multiple times, then don't. That's I think the best way to say it. Like if you want to sit down and like experience everything this game has, don't use a guide at all. Just try to find it. But
I mean, listen to this podcast, and we might at least give you some education on how to play this game. Even though we did spoil everything, which I forgot to say in opening the game. Oh well.
Oh no, we spoil.
I mean, you shouldn't. By now, if you listen to us, 39 episodes were more than that with all the other stuff we've done. You should know what
this game in like. You can technically beat this game in like 3 minutes. So
yeah.
I think spoilers are out at that point.
Well, the ending in 3 minutes won't be very good, though.
No, actually, there's an ending that I kind of wish I had gotten that looked really cool. I think it's ending F, where if you don't find Lottie, if you don't see her die, when you get onto the elevator at the end, the elevator's doors closed. You hear like a noise, like Scissorman is breaking through like the vent in the elevator, and blood starts seeping out from under the elevator door.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a really. It's definitely not the good ending, but I thought that was a cool ending.
There's also an ending where Scissorman like goes through the bottom of the elevator. I think. So
I like good bad endings in games, like bad endings that are really well done.
bad things happen to Jeffer in this game, depending on what you do.
Like all the Metro games have great bad endings.
Legacy of Kain Blood Omen, the canon ending is the bad ending.
Funny you should mention that.
I think Mike got the bad ending when we did Fallout.
Mike, I was surprised I got an ending when we did Fallout. Oh man, okay. Any last thing you guys want to say about Clock Tower before we do questions? Anything we missed? You guys think?
I just want to mention the atmosphere one more time.
It's a surreal game.
Yeah, it's very like Giallo. It's very Italian. No, Siri, I never said anything. Fucking shut up. Apparently, if I say Giallo, stop. Siri will activate.
Hello, Stuart. How can I help you?
Are you talking about Italian horror?
Sorry, Stuart. I cannot let you do that.
Siri is super into Dario Argento.
Really I found Dario Argento on Wish.
Yeah.
Like I said, someone's going to get it now. After we're done with this, something's going to pop up that makes absolutely no sense on Wish.
I like the idea that like my Siri it's like breaking off from the norm, like it's developing an AI intelligence, but just getting really into Italian horror. It's not like dangerous at all. Stuart, it's just like
you want to watch this movie again.
Let's talk about Deep Red.
It's my
No,
groove.
not right now. I like
all right. Red. I think we're gonna move on to some questions. I don't have many because I was surprised people even answered me about this game, to be honest. First, questions, memories, comments is normal because I gave up on just doing questions because sometimes it limits to what we can talk about that other people might have experienced.
Some people just have interesting that are worth.
Some, I mean, there's been some really interesting memories that we have read on this show that I really liked. And first one I want to read from Robert St. John. His comment was, "That game sucks so bad. I don't agree. I don't like it per se, but
Robert has really bad taste in video games, so don't listen to him. Do not listen to him.
I don't know if he listens to the show or not. He might not appreciate that. That's okay.
You have to play it through the lens of 1995 and like just think about how there was nothing like it at the time.
Yeah,
it's a good way to put it. And another one from Daniel Melman. I liked it, but it was really slow. Losing health when you run was a bad decision. I agree. I could have done.
I'd agree with that.
I don't mind like having like a stamina bar where you can't run forever, but and like losing health.
I'm okay with that. I think it could have been maybe like a little bit more. It could have given you a little bit more freedom, but I like that you have to walk. I usually don't like when games make you walk at all. I usually hate that as a rule, but I think this is one of the few exceptions where the idea of like having to walk makes the game just that much slower and more methodical. And I see that that's kind of like the way the game is meant to be played. That very slow build up.
Right.
Would you agree? Because you also like when you like suffering in games too. So
I do.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So it's just like I said earlier. It to me, especially games in the past, you kind of got to make up some things in your own mind to put it together. Especially if you go all the way back to Atari.
Yeah.
So with this one,
sorry, just cracked me up.
Yeah, with this one, I mean, in my mind, it's just like a survival horror movie. Somebody has to stop and catch their breath when the killer's chasing after them. So I appreciate it.
Go back and watch the original Halloween and see how much running's in it. It's pretty much not till the end.
I need to watch that movie someday. All right, and then
Michael doesn't run at all in any of the games.
Comment from Daniel. He said, "I want to play Clock Tower 3 soon. That's a magical girl survival horror game, and it's developed by Capcom, the patron saint of goofy and fun survival horror games."
It's basically Sailor Moon meets the original Clock Tower.
You got me excited with that Sailor Moon there, sir.
I would love to have that on the series at some point. Yeah, it's
coming. It just we got to figure out how to play PS2.
It's like Sailor Moon meets. It's almost like Buffy the Vampire Slayer more though, because it's a lineage thing. I think.
Yeah.
You basically become a horror slayer.
The hell?
It's sadly it doesn't have like the Sailor Moon transformation sequence. That'd be amazing.
And then there's a spiritual successor to the series called Haunting Ground, where like it's the same concept where you're running away from killers, but you have a dog with you.
Oh yeah,
we are definitely going to play that someday on the show. We just have to find a way to get it that doesn't cost us hundreds of dollars, and we will definitely play it on the show someday. So
it's never happening.
There are other ways to get a hold of that game, but that is not being said on the show. This is one comment I did like from Angel Johnson. She said she sent a link of a Let's Play, and that's what was her first experience at Clock Tower. And she just said, "I never wanted to play a game more after watching a Let's Play." Which is, again, this is a game that even if you're curious about what we're saying, go watch a Let's Play of it. You'll absorb most of what this game is, even if you don't play it.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think it'd be interesting to make people who had never heard of this game play it now. Like people who play, like I would love to find like kids who play like Call of Duty or Anthem or like any like Fortnite, like any really fast paced like shooter, and have them play Clock Tower and just see how far they can get in it before it's just wanting to stop. Because like I said, this game is very methodical. It's very slow. It's very deliberate.
Yeah. It's something all right.
I actually had trouble. I had a little trouble playing it because frequent guest and listener Sam came over and accosted me and forced me to play Resident Evil 2 again.
I thought you say forced you to play, like you really had to be forced to play Resident Evil.
Oh, basically, yeah. For Resident Evil 2 remake, I haven't had time to play it at all. I've been putting it off. And he was like,
"God damn it, Stu!"
I know. So I say he forced me to play it. He basically was at gunpoint.
Basically at gunpoint.
But I got to like the first Mr. X stuff in Leon's campaign, and I had to go from that to Clock Tower. It's just like constant fear and shitting my pants to Clock Tower, where everything is so deliberate,
and slow.
It's so slow. It's just like it's an entirely different kind of horror.
We don't want you to enjoy playing.
It's an entirely different kind of horror altogether. It's an entirely different kind of horror.
All right, and this question, we already answered it, but I want to read the comment anyway. From Michael Hughes, I imagine you guys will cover it over the course of the episode, but what endings did everyone get? Well, check back about maybe 10 minutes or so. I'm not sure.
What ending did you get? Let us know in the comments down below.
Nice, thank you.
Apparently, there's also endings that you can get that, like, you have to basically break the game. I was looking at.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
there's a lot of swearing in this episode, I feel like.
But surprisingly, not by me. Usually it's me. Usually I'm the one.
I just confused constantly today.
I wasn't sure what the policy was.
You can
our Raccoon City episode, I was just like, every 5 minutes I kept talking about Spectre, just saying, "This fucking moron." It's just me saying "this fucking moron" like 20 times throughout that entire episode.
Hey, Spectre had the goggles that made perfect sense. Idiot. It went two different ways in his head. But so we're not talking about Raccoon. I have a couple more questions. One from Chris L. He said he watched it play, but he said Clock Tower 3 is one of the best and most disturbing horror games ever made. So there you go, Stu. Stefan.
I'd say it's an important game. I don't know if it still holds up as the most disturbing nowadays, but it's certainly historically important.
It's on my list.
It's like people who only watch like The Conjuring and Sinister going back and watching like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not like bloody or violent at all, really. It's just all implied violence. So I can imagine somebody going back and saying like, "This movie's boring," but not realizing that like historically it's a very important movie in the horror genre.
Yes. That's a good comparison.
He's good at that. Okay, another one I have from Jack Rodriguez Dougherty. Hey, you have the same last name as a friend of mine. He said, "I don't like survival horror, but I like this game and have a repro myself."
I can see that.
I thought that's cool. Like, some people, not a lot of people actually knew this game, but people who did had, some of them had nicer comments to say than Robert did earlier. And this is a good question I do want to read. He said, from Luke Batty, he said, "I played the translated PS1 version. Are there any benefits to playing the Super Famicom version? It's the same game without a cutscene."
Yeah.
So no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's technically Clock Tower 1 on the PS1 that's a sequel to.
Yeah. It's a sequel to Clock Tower. It's called. It follows like the fucking like Halloween, or not Halloween, like the fucking, like, alien. Like I hate when movies do that. I hate when movies are like, we're going to come out with a remake of the movie and we're going to call it the same thing. Or it's like, "Oh, this is Halloween." Which Halloween? Oh, no, the remake ones. God damn it. First of all, I hate the Rob Zombie Halloween movie. I'm sorry. People love that movie. I fucking hate it. I hate it.
Rob Zombie hates it.
Rob Zombie is he's great as a soundtrack composer. As a director, not a huge fan. At least not for the Halloween movies. I think they're fucking trash.
Yeah, agreed.
So whenever I see Halloween on TV, I get all excited because I haven't seen Halloween in forever. I'm so excited to sit down and watch Laurie fight Michael Myers. and then it's like, oh no, this is the fucking Rob Zombie version. God damn it!
So
Call it
he was
something
serious
different.
How to break his heart. That's how you do it, guys.
It's
You
so
trick him with
annoying.
TV on Halloween.
And it happens. There's so many fucking horror movies because they're remaking every goddamn horror movie. I'll be like, oh no, this is the shitty Halloween. Oh, Alien's on a different movie. Oh, fucking goddamn it. Oh, Friday the 13th. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Well, at least Psycho's on.
Welcome to Halloween.
Oh God.
That's October for you, where everything is on.
Just play the fucking classics. God damn it.
All right, last question I want to read.
I sound like an old man.
You are, even though you're the youngest. I'm pretty sure I know you're youngest of at least 3 of us on this podcast right now.
Just a hipster.
From Joey Mock, he said, I tried to play it a few years ago. I didn't get very far as it doesn't hold your hand. Nothing in this game tells you anything at all.
I like that about it, though.
I did, but
Yeah,
I'm a
I like
different
this.
gamer. I'm a pansy. So
There's a lot of different ways to do horror, and this is definitely the one where it's like it just throws you in, and you got to figure it out. You're on your own. You are 100% on your own.
And anyone who's been listening to the show for a while knows I don't like horror. So yeah, I don't like it when the game doesn't tell me what to do.
Just remember, as an audience, just you're all alone.
Naturally. All right, and I think we should do shelf or box. Stefan, why don't you go first?
All right. I think you guys know by now that if you put me in a mansion with something chasing after me, my panties drop. That's just rule number 1. I love being in scary mansions. Yeah. I love being in scary mansions, and I love horror games. So this is definitely going on my shelf. Will I play it again? Probably not. But I'm glad we played it on the show.
I'm glad you picked the wrong one. I'm glad you picked the other one. And I picked the wrong one.
I'm not.
Okay, so brilliant idea here. There's a famous hotel in Virginia Beach called the Cavalier, which is also infamously haunted. So we should at any point, if we decide to do a live episode, we got to do like one of the ghost tours in the Cavalier Hotel.
That would be awesome.
Because it's basically like a giant mansion.
I'll go to Virginia. Well, one of us lives in Virginia, but the other 2 of us, okay.
I'll stay here. Basically, you guys fly out here. You guys spend money on things. Famously haunted, though. I think it was on an episode of Ghost Hunters.
Stu, how about you?
I am going to shelf this game. Similar reasons to Stefan. Like, again, put me in a mansion, have something chase me. I'm all for it. In a game, in real life, if you do that, I will fucking kill you. Like the atmosphere of this game is so like it's hard to state how good it is. Like not just the lack of music and the sound of the footsteps, but like the colors of the game. Like every wall is this either really rich like blue or gold. Like it's got this really rich color scheme that's very very Argento based. It's just like it looks so haunting. There's if you could find a version that doesn't have terrible color grading, because some of the coloring in this game can very easily glitch and fuck everything up.
Yeah, it did mine too, and I thought that was a feature because it happened in a dark room. Like, oh, this makes sense, but no, it was a glitch.
Like when I played Golden Sun, and I thought that activating the mental powers was supposed to make everything bright pink, but I was wrong.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I played through like 20 minutes of that, or like more than that, for like 2 hours of that game, not realizing that it was broken. Yeah, just the colors in this game though, like when you get into the caves and you see like the stalactites in the background that are like they're like almost black with just blue shading on them. That's just so good looking. Like this game is so like aesthetically pleasing, and it's got such good atmosphere. It's definitely going on my shelf. I really enjoyed it. Plus, it like I said, it's a historically important horror game. We probably would not have the same kind of horror games we have today without Clock Tower existing.
That's true.
Which we didn't even know existed, or I didn't know existed until this podcast.
Say goodbye to like Fatal Frame and Outlast, and because Outlast is basically the same fucking story as Clock Tower.
You're chased by a guy with scissors.
Yeah, not Outlast. Fucking Amnesia.
Because Outlast is a mental asylum.
But yeah, like I mean, like, but just that horror game trope that I guess is now like the standard for horror games, where you're running through a place and piecing together the story as you go along. Like, Clock Tower is one of the first games to do that shit.
Yep.
Oh, how about you, Blake?
I'm gonna shelf it. I mean, I pretty much echo the same sentiments. It's a very important game for the genre, and as somebody who speedruns a lot of horror games and is just a big horror game fan in general, it's just a classic.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm gonna put this in the box, not because it's a bad game. It's a good game. I never want to play it again. I never want to see it again. Will I talk about it? Will I recommend it to people? Yes, but I don't even want to know. I don't want it. Creeped me out. Horror games are not for me. Like I'm ready to be done with Spooktober, even though it was my idea to do this. But I am ready. I'm not into spooky games, and even though this game is simplistic in some ways, and it creeped the hell out of me, and I don't want to experience it again. I don't want anything to do with it. I mean, I will tell people they should try it, but I'm done. So it's going in the box, and it will never be played again by me.
Well, don't worry, Mike. We only have 3 more weeks of horror games.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about the next one. The 2 after that, I'm a little unsure of. But God, Stefan, why don't you introduce what we're playing next week?
Yeah, I'm just gonna take a second and look it up here. And,
Also, I thought he was going to ask me.
Oh, okay. If I have the right schedule here. Next week we are playing Soul Reaver. Is that right? Okay.
That's what I have.
The continuation of the Legacy of Kain series, and we'll have Julian Titus on with us back again.
Welcome to the game where nothing makes sense and everything's a maze. Oh, good game. I'm really excited to talk about it next week, but ooh, do I get lost?
I'm excited for the game that's going to end the month. I think that's going to be my favorite of all of them.
I actually might not tell people what that is. I haven't decided yet.
I don't think we should. I think we should leave it to be a surprise.
I'm just going to question mark for a little while.
Should leave it to be a surprise because I'm super excited about it.
And before we start wrapping up, I do, since we actually have a speedrunner on the show, I think we should give a quick. We always talk about wanting to know more about speedrunning, but it never really comes up.
Yeah.
Well, none of us speedrun. We all suck at video games. And Blake had mentioned earlier, he was just speedrunning Final Fantasy IX. How the hell you speedrun an RPG?
What?
I don't fucking know.
Lots of patience, and you need to be prepared to waste your entire day. Like today, I got to the last disc, the first boss of the last disc. I was up 20 minutes, and I ended up getting wiped. So
that sucks.
Yeah, but
I give people credit who can speedrun. Do you speedrun other games, Blake? Or
yeah, I was part of the RE community for a long time with speedrunning. I've got some in a few of the categories, some top 10 times.
Nice.
But speedrun Castlevania series also. But my main thing now, I think, is I'm gonna try to stick with JRPGs. Final Fantasy X's the next one.
Oh my!
Are you gonna do
You're
Final Fantasy 11?
Final Fantasy 11.
Speedrun 11.
Because isn't Final Fantasy 11 the one with are there 2 boss fights in Final Fantasy 11 that are like 2 hours each or something?
11 is an MMORPG. So
yeah, but people still speedrun it.
People can speedrun it.
How?
You can still speedrun the main story content.
I really want to talk about 11 someday on this show. I just haven't. There's no way for me to really go back and relive it or spend the.
Well, there's fan servers that are up.
Yeah, but that game is terrible.
Let's speed run Night Zero, the Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO. Just get somebody to come in with like a level 60 character. You can just you don't even have to fight anything. You just kill everything with deflections. It's great.
But Blake, where can people find you on Twitch?
Twitch.tv/abomination1212.
And there will be a link in the show notes too for anyone that wants to follow someone speedrunning Final Fantasy IX and crying at the same time, maybe.
Yeah.
I know I'd be crying at the end, but that's
that was basically me tonight. I was ready to.
Well, that game is. I love Final Fantasy IX so much. You should speedrun Chrono Trigger. If you want to speedrun an amazing RPG, speedrun that game.
I've thought about it. I mean, Final Fantasy IX is my favorite game ever. So
that makes sense.
But it can be brutal.
Well,
You should speedrun Final Fantasy 15 all the way through the Atom Toys fight, because that's like a legitimately that's like a 3-day, like a real time 3-day fight.
I hate that game. Like, I have some very strong opinions. I played that game all the way through too, so it's not like I just played an hour and gave up on it. I beat that game, and I have some very strong opinions about that game.
Oh, I love Final Fantasy 15. It's just chilling with the bros of the game.
Can't get over speedrun of Final Fantasy 9. Like, I have wanted to go back and play Final Fantasy 9 again. It's been many, many years, but every so often that urge is there. But with this podcast, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
You should just play it for the podcast. Just set aside a month for a special episode.
They'll hate me. What? Well, we have an idea that we did mention before on the show where we're going to, when we get to season 4, which we haven't got to season 3 yet, we're going to be doing something different so we can maybe put some longer games in.
Yep. Restructuring a bit. We'll probably talk about it because I imagine we'll do a like end of the year podcast. I imagine.
Yeah, we will. We should.
Whenever the end of the year is, I don't remember.
January 13th was our initial release date.
Okay, so yeah, around that time we'll do like an end of the year podcast then, and probably announce it. I think we'll because that'll be like just kind of one of our like. I'll be just an extra episode where we're talking about like the show and everything, so we can really go into the exact specifics then.
Yeah, and we'll have it more ironed out by then too. Because I have some ideas that we've been shooting around.
Let's discuss it on the episode. Have no plan. Like, all right, we're thinking about changing stuff.
That's how we do this show. Anyone who listens knows that. All right,
every business meeting is
just record it, publish it. There you go, guys. Listen to what you think of us. All right, I do want to give another quick shout out for the podcast. I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. That was funny. Movement Radio. There'll be a link in the show notes. They talk about movies, music, sports, wrestling. So if you guys need our podcast at your station, take a look. If you're looking for a Twitch streamer to follow, give a follow to Blake. I'll have a link in the show notes, so it'll be easy to find him because I don't even remember what he said, and it was only less than a minute ago. So I'm sure if you're listening to an audio device, you might not remember either. So, you can't script this stuff, guys. You just can't. All right. All right, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, where I'm constantly posting images of the upcoming games that we're playing. So you guys can get an idea of what's going to be coming up. So you have a little more context. If you have never played the game before and have no idea what we're talking about, give you some context to the game that's going to be coming up. Also, want to give a thank you to Mike Bulby. Oh God, Mike Stoney, aka Bulby. That's a first. He let us use the song "Cool Kid Squad" from ZP Bite the Bullet. Oh. I completely screwed that one up. And again, I want to thank you guys for all listening. And we do greatly appreciate it. And there will be this week, we should be publishing another bonus episode this Friday. Like last week, we published Resident Evil Degeneration. If you listen to this and haven't listened to that yet, definitely give that movie a listen. I know you haven't because it hasn't been listened as much as some other episodes. So definitely check that one out. And also, we're going to be doing a celebratory episode because we hit 5K like a couple weeks ago, but we haven't got around to actually doing anything with it. So we will be making a special episode for you guys too.
Yep.
We're just it takes a while. All right, well, everyone have a wonderful night.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming up. Hi, everybody.